Okay, so feel free, if you're at home, it's a different kind of classroom today. It's very different from the row-by-row classroom. So grab the seat. A little bit tight in terms of space. We have 50 students, right? 50 students. I guess that's the case. It's excluding me, we have 50 students. So we have a table just large enough to hold all of you. It's a new trial in the classroom this time, okay? We are going to begin in about 5 minutes, so let's test the system. Okay, we're going to get some help to see what's wrong, and we cannot have sound with this PC desktop, okay? Just here at home, and this is the first day of the class, this particular MATH113, okay? Applications of mathematics in today's world, okay? I got ready some video for you today, so if there is no sound, we're going to be in big trouble, okay? So, it's okay. In the meantime, I could invite you to get online, okay, and come into this course website under your Moodle environment, and then say hi to the whole class by coming into the social forum. Okay? There's a social forum here, and say, hi, I'm Mary, I'm from the Faculty of Social Science, and I live in, say, Wunjang Residential College. So we know that you are here, okay? So this will be good enough for you to spend your first 10 minutes time. Please use your mobile device, get online to this Moodle environment, and under the first block, go to get informed. There is something called social forum to share your good idea. And so click into the social forum, plug in something, say, greetings. I am John. I'm from the Faculty of Science Technology. I'm in electromechanical engineering. I live in Stanley Hall, East Asia College. Something like this.
Very good. Everything has come back.
Okay, everything is set. So let me see, I need to stand in front. Welcome to this class. Nice to meet you. I love this classroom because it's a round table style, but in one sense it's going to be difficult because when you clump into one table, well, when the time comes for the midterm exam, we definitely cannot do it here. But let's see if we could improve on that. Well, first of all, welcome, and welcome to Kelvin again. It's a little bit late. This is the course on MATH113, okay? And the name of this course is Applications of Mathematics in Today's World, okay? So, why do we need this course? It's called a general education course, okay? So the difference between a general education course and a major course are, have you ever thought about this? Okay, let me just close the door first before we let me tell you this, for me, my interpretations of the differences between a general education course and a major course are, first of all, in a major course, we very much emphasize on the content. Content are king. Everything must be content-based because they have the domain of knowledge type. So the difference between the general education courses, we want to, besides helping you to understand content, put a little bit more emphasis on how much better can you manage your own learning. Okay, so we say we help you in any general education course to transitions from a taught-to-learn student to a learn-to-learn student. Now, how are we going to help you to transition from a taught-to-learn student to a learn-to-learn student? Well, we cannot eliminate the traditional process of teaching, which had something to do with the teacher standing here, transmitting something to each one of you, and hopefully you'll receive it, works okay, and you can pick them up. Okay? So we still have this process of doing, but on top of this, we want to make sure that we generate learning in each one of you. And how can we generate learning in each one of you? Well, there's something we expect you to do, okay? Now, in the past, if you are doing something in the traditional course, the most important thing for teachers to finish is that look at my syllabus. In the syllabus, I list out a number of topics. And my job here is to give you enough knowledge on each one of these topics. So when I come into the classroom, I cover the topics for you. And you are there, magically, if I produce notes on the whiteboard, your job is to copy those notes into your notebook and study it. And to study it for the sake of writing the exam, which is a process of regurgitating the knowledge I give you. And if the closeness between you regurgitate the knowledge and the knowledge I produce for you to receive in class is 100%, you got 100%. That is the traditional process of learning, and that's what a teacher is for. And that's why you need a teacher who have gone 2 years of study with a PhD or with a title of a doctor or something to help you learn this. Now, but ironically speaking, that's not the most effective way for you to learn anything. But it's also the most effective way for the school to give you everything. So between the most efficient way to help you to learn one person's to a batch of student 50, and the most effective way for you to learn something which is on individual persons, we need to strike a balance. Fortunately, in the University of Macau, with the 4-in-1 model, you have your major courses, you have attended major courses, where your professor is going to give you everything he has prepared for you. But we also have general education courses like this one, which will enable you to see a little bit different to the process of learning by each one of you. Well, if I were able to tell you this, I hope that you can have feelings of what is meant by a personalized approach to learning. What is meant by a personalized approach to learning? You have your personal differences to learn something. You might be a person who's good at listening to something, so you need a teacher to teach you by telling you explicitly in words of what you're going to learn. You might be a person who is a very much visual person, who must learn something by seeing something on the whiteboard step by step. But you are the person who can learn something by a tactical approach. I must get everything down to my hands and experience it myself. And what kind of learner are you? You can tell me later. And for a teacher, when I try to give you something, I need to take into account a little bit of this type of student, a little bit of this type of student, a little bit of this type of student. So when I try to give you something, at least, not 100%, I would say from 60 to 70% of the students should get something. All right? So what is the differences between a general education course and a major course? In this general education course, my job here is to help you to go through the transitions from being a taught-to-learn student, relying very much on a teacher to give you knowledge, to a learn-to-learn student, relying very much on your own to teach yourself something. If you could become your own teacher, that is a very important lifelong skill. You can take out general education. Now, having said that, let's go back to this course. The name of this course is for applications of mathematics in today's world. Why do we need a course like this? Does it mean that we have not done a good job in our major courses, that we do not know enough about the meaning of applications, particularly applying mathematical context to solve problems, that we need a course like this to let you see a little bit more closely what's happening in the world of mathematics? Well, I don't know, because I'm not the person who designed this course, but when I read the syllabus of this course, which is available here, I could feel that, well, the design of this course tells me, well, there are people who love to use mathematics to solve problems, but who may not be in engineering school, or who may not be in a mathematics major. So we need to create some channels for students who are interested in the use of mathematics to solve a problem, to let them feel the enthusiasms that can be generated in them. So today I have prepared something for you. Okay, having said that, I have given you the first informations about my role here. As a teacher, I'm here to see if I could generate learning in each one of you in the field of mathematics. And mathematics is so big, so how can I do this? Fortunately, I could start out with a syllabus. So let's take a look at the syllabus. When you click on this link, you are going to download the syllabus in the form of a document of the Microsoft Word. So let's open up this document. Okay, and here we go. We have this document here. Let me just make sure that I could open it up in one-page format. All right. So this is a course, a general education course offered by the Department of Mathematics from the Faculty of Science and Technology. The name of this course is for Applications of Mathematics in Today's World. It's for year 1 and year 2 students. Okay? It's a compulsory course. Wow. So each one of you have no choice. You must come to study this course because of your major's requirement. Okay. All right. So I understand that. So you can have every reason to say, I didn't like this course because it's compulsory. How can I make it interesting to you? All right. Let's try to do it. All right. So here we go. I'm here. So let's go down here. Now, the course description said it's mainly covering 2 important areas. But the first area sounds to be paradoxical. It said introduction to selected applications, introductions to interesting topics of mathematics. For example, matrix algebras with applications, managing money with consideration of its time values, mathematical modeling, numbers in real world, such as in the topic of history of mathematics. Okay. And the second thing is for introduction to calculus. And I say, gee, wow. Do you want me to handle the learning of a class of students close to 50, and now we have 50, with a number of topics such as this? How do I know they love it? And how do I know the background of the students so that they know how to appreciate it? So I say, well, let me handle the selected applications later when I survey on each one of you to see if you know something nice. Then I give you the freedom to choose and to explore the topic of your own interest. So how am I going to design this course? Then I'm going to look at the second one, introduction to calculus. Introduction to calculus, that's much better because it's very systematic. Calculus for us engineering people are systematic and it's been there for hundreds of years. So we have a lot of resources to help you understand the meaning of that, and we could show you many different steps. Oh, that is a very good component. So we have 2 components. And then I look at the archives of this course based on different teachers who taught this course in the past. Wow, it is up to us to decide which go first. So I do not need to push my student to select a topic at the very beginning, and then actually help them develop an interest in something fundamental before they can turn to choosing something. So I have been told I could choose the freedom to go through the topic in different sequence. So I say, let's go for calculus first. Now the question is, how many of you have studied calculus before in your high school? Could you raise your hand? Calculus. Calculus. Have you studied calculus before? If you have studied, just raise your hand. So our many students in just have few. That we need to start out there much better with a much more foundation. Okay. Good. So my decision is to give you a foundation first. It's much more appropriate, justified by the number of times I see. But the objective of this course, okay, the topic means we study calculus, and we study some selected topics, such as those. Okay, and my response to the first one is, let's go for calculus first, and then systematically we develop the interest there. And the second one is, you need to look at the course objective. It said, this course provides interactive, that means not just one way for the teacher to talk, interactive that the student also needs some responses, and cooperative, meaning that I do not do all the things myself, that you have to do something on your own during the class, after the class. So the environment must be interactive. So this classroom is very good. We do not have the boundaries of the rows, but we have a table to switch around, you can switch around. And cooperative is when you have a problem to solve together, you have a right table, you have a much better environment to do discussions than the row by row classroom. So that it's very facilitating. Well, the reasons why we need to do it interactive and cooperative, make sure that you are doing everything to enhance your ability to understand, because if you happen to forget something, you can ask the buddy next to you. To understand, what do you mean by understand? Is it too fuzzy word? I understand the cow. What do you mean? I understand the cow in the sense that it has 28 world-class heritage sites, which is world famous. That's much more precise. Model in some problem. What do you mean by model? To create a simple situations or a particular problem, and to provide a possible solutions based on created situations. Okay, that means I'm going to feed the hungry. Wow, feed the hungry of the whole world. No, I'm going to feed the hungry. My class normally has 50 students, and of these 50 students, 49 of them are always well fed. So I'm going to feed the hungry. My class means I'm going to bring people one student, so more of it, some problems. Okay. Enhances students' ability to perform project work and case study. Now, that means I need to get you involved to do some project work. What do you mean by project? What's the difference between a project and an assignment and a homework? Normally, based on your past experience, a project is bigger than an assignment. An assignment is bigger than a homework. So does it mean that it's something big? If it's something big, if we start doing it from the very beginning, now that is also a challenge to the teacher. So, and then my job is, upon you complete this course, you're expected to perform the following. First, you need to understand something in mathematics. That's not difficult. You need to learn how to model something and solve problems. Simple problems in mathematics. Well, I didn't know how to define simple. Okay? Simple is a very fuzzy word, but we need to get ourselves involved in problems in mathematics. And when we talk about mathematics, we often use the term here calculus and calculator in mathematical problems. And then my students will also be able to participate in discussion. That means you know how to discuss about something on issues, things, questions, they are related to applications of mathematics in today's world. Well, the applications of mathematics in today's world are many. How much time do we have? 14 minutes. Okay, keep this in mind. Lastly, my students are expected to perform presentations. You need to do presentations of the work done. And my students are expected to write a report on project findings. So you need to do project. You need to do presentations based on PowerPoint produced. And you need to do a report based on the findings generated. So my job here is how can I teach you the skills in project management such that you know you have so much time here or so small amount of time here that you still can come up with a meaningful problem and get involved several of your buddies to do that problem, define what the problem is supposed to do, write a report based on the findings, present the report, go to grade. These are the challenges. So, and then I was told that I could recommend the following texts and references to my students in the context of understanding the applications of mathematics in today's world. The first one is using and understanding mathematics, a quantitative reasoning approach, and I forgot which year it is, but it's the 5th editions. A quantitative reasoning approach, very simple, Have you ever done the work which is commissioned by one department account asking you to do a survey house by house, asking how many people in your family, how many people in your families are working, what's the amount of income generated by one or two people in your family, and what's the expenditure in your family, and at the end of that, the government will produce a report on the population specific, or the demographics of people, know how many family earns below a particular line, above a particular line, and who lives where and something. And you need to do a lot of processing like that. And that's statistical reason for everything, right? And then the government will say, well, based on those data we collected, we projected, in the next 5 years we need X number more school seats for the primary schools, or we need Y number of seats for those sort of kids. Okay? You know what? If you happen to be parents in the past 5 years, you know that the county government did wrong projections a couple of years ago. They believed that we didn't have so many babies. There's supposed to be a lot of nursing homes cannot afford to take care of the baby. And they, in a matter of 2 years, they sponsor 10, 15 nursery units in Piper, and the people can send their kids, babies from 3-month-old to 3 years old because of the projections era. And then with calculus started transcendental. So what is meant by calculus? Calculus basically is stone. Literally means a stone. So what are we going to learn about the stones? Oh, but it's very interesting. Okay, elementary linear algebra applications, systems of equations, and how can we make use of certain systems of equations to solve problems that are very much meaningful. Each equation represents the constraints. For example, if I say, I need to accommodate a class of students in MATH113 to study for the whole semester, what I need is a learning space for my students. And but do you mean a classroom? Okay, if you mean a classroom as a learning space, good. So I need a learning space. But the space is good enough to accommodate 50 students. And then what kind of learning space do you expect? A classroom is a classroom. Classroom means rows of chairs and tables. And you sit the student there, they're supposed to be listening to people. But the purpose of the course is to participate in discussions. Have you done good discussions in traditional row-by-row classroom? Can I talk to the persons in row number 1 when I'm sitting in the row number 15? No. You have to move around. So in a row-by-row classroom, the constraint is you cannot facilitate discussions. So one specific equation in the linear system we can say this room must be open enough to facilitate discussions. And then the second thing said, can that kind of room facilitate a midterm exam where privacy and lack of cheating is encouraged? So when I come here and say, oh, this room may not be good for the exam because you can look at right. And I really have a lot of problem with that. So the second constraint will tell you, this equation tells you, in case if there is an exam, this classroom will not provide enough solutions for that. Now, if I could come up with some kind of solution which fits all the equations in the linear system, then I would have solutions. Oh, that is in the area of operational research, where we try to run something, entity. The entity have to solve a lot of problems. First of all, we do not have enough manpower to solve problems. So at the university, if there is only one teacher who's going to teach 100 classes, it's impossible. So we need enough number of teachers to teach that number of classes to help you understand. Operational research tells you you need some resources. Now all of these, a lot of learning. Can we just do all of these in one semester? No, that's why we need to make decisions. What to study. No, a brave teacher is a brave teacher. Now if I have a class of 50 students, suppose I say 5 students is one team, I have 10 teams. If each team is going to choose one area, you need a Superman to teach this class because not every teacher can really entertain every subject area well. Okay? But on the other hand, when we look at learning from another point of view, which I said how I can transition you from talk to the student to learn to the student, the picture will from understanding how to make the best use of the resources at the university to help your team to explore a problem with enough number of resources with justified goals, even though I'm only one person's that is used to learning, that is possible. So you understand the meaning of that and the challenge of it. But anyway, you will see how I'm going to help you. All right? So the next thing is what the syllabus tells us. You need to understand the assessment schemes. Well, based on the design of this course, I'd say attendance, in-class participations, individual group assignment, you will have 20%. Presentations, project, including report, you will have 20%. And tests and final exam, you have 60%. Okay? So based on this concrete map of design philosophy, I'm going to give you something out of this course. So here we go. Let me bring you to the course website. Now, I was given the syllabus a couple months ago, but I guess towards the end of June. And I was invited to think about how I help a group of students who's going to study this course to achieve the objectives, to get something done, and to get something out of this course. So, before the end of this August, actually before the end of last week, I need to nail down everything and present my design theology the first day of class in the Moodle environment. So when you come to the Moodle environment, you will see I have laid out the 14 weeks of activities here, okay? And the expected amount of work and the kind of freedom you have, that is the responsibility of the teacher, okay? Because as soon as you got it, the more clear how we can proceed together. So this is the Moodle environment that is under my design. Remember, it's only sections number 7. There are many other teachers take this course. So for me, I would produce a theme songs that is called Lo Yu Jie Zhou. Row is for your own to travel. As a teacher, I can guide you a distance, but the remaining thing, you have to do it on your own, all right? If you want to know this song, click on this link, okay? The second thing is, this is a general education course, and I'm giving you my interpretations of this general education context of the university. But if you want to know something more, click on the general education handbook. Our rector has given you a very concise message, okay? And then we have an academic calendar, how we can spend time together in the next 14 weeks until the end of this semester. And then the school asked me to name this Student Academic Dishonesty Act at the very front of the webpage so the students understand that they could collaborate, but they cannot cheat together. Okay? They could collaborate, but they are not supposed to cheat together. Okay, and then we have the Student Disability Act and services. So these are the basics, you know that. And then I was told that some of the students might need help with English, so I provide an online English-Chinese dictionary here. And also a language dictionary, as well as if you need help to understand how to speed up your English, come to this free website. You can have everything done for you in English. Okay, that's a very good website. All right. So these are the housekeeping thing, and we do take attendance in every class or attendance record, and then we have a class announcement and use an essential the first message of this week earlier today. And then we have a social forum for you to share your ID. In a minute, actually earlier, about 10 minutes ago, I invite each one of you to get online to this website, come to this forum, and produce a power message. And hopefully you've done it. If not, I'll give you some time to continue doing it. And then the last one is very important. It's just like you send me a private email. Okay? I use the method in Moodle to create a personalized forum for each one of you. And in this forum, you can tell me something that only you and I could read. All the other students were not able to read it. So it's a dedicated channel. So at any time during the course, if you have difficulty, you want my help, make sure you send me a message here. And indeed, in every week of our study, I provide something similar. All right, so let's move on. Today is the first day of class, so you can see that the second block in the Moodle environment tells you this is week number 1. Okay, we are in this week starting from August the 24th to August the 29th. I do not include Sunday because that is a day for us to take a break. Okay? And then on each week, I'm going to give you a teacher's message, and I sent you a message earlier today. And I'm going to introduce to you a specific method of learning, which I personally am very much interested in. It's called the ideal method. The ideal method means you need to exercise your brain, to think in terms of questions. And questions represents the goals of every time when you spend time doing something. What are you doing? What are you doing this for? How much time do you have to do that? Okay? And at the end of you doing that, what are you going to gain from this? Basic questions. Okay? So then, at the beginning of each week's block, I include some music to help you to suit your learning readiness. And I also give you some hints on how to get the most of your study. Each week there will be something different. But the most important thing is the reading list for the week. So you see the reading list for the week. I've already given you a 14 weeks reading list. Reading list means I expect you to spend time thinking about the topics there. Okay? And if you have spent enough time thinking about the topics there, you must have discovered very much useful information personalized to your needs. Okay? Now, I do have a learn and practice section which I do not want to disclose to you yet. And then, but the most important thing on each week is I adopt a blended learning approach. And although we just have 3 hours together in class, but we can do something more. Okay? So in each week, I will say before class, I'll give you a set of activities for you to put some thoughts into it. And during class, what we're going to do. After class, you need to do some follow-up in order to grab the knowledge. At the end of the week, what you're supposed to do in order not to miss out the good things of that week. So I have already given you 14 weeks of before class, during class, after class, and week activity. But I will disclose to you week after week, okay? And then day one is the day when I have to introduce to you the calendar, the course, design philosophy. As I said, when I receive the syllabus, as a teacher, I need to put things into action to make it easy for you to learn something, not with my presence, even without my presence. So the first thing is, I create an extra course home for you, which is on a particular website, okay? So, which is basically the same as the informations you just saw in the Moodle environment. The second thing is called a calendar, okay? The calendar, if you look here, I've given you the 14 weeks alignment. So you can see that roughly this is the first week, and then you see that the basically 3 important assignment, okay? A little bit higher than homework, a little bit less than a project, okay? So the first assignment is called Learning Contract number 1, which covers 2nd week, 3rd week, 4th week, and the 5th week. So in the end of the 5th week, week number 5, you see you need to submit something, which is called LC001 artifacts. Okay? The first time you need to submit something. So after the first learning contract, you will get into the second learning contract from week number 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So another 4 weeks, which we call learning contract number 2. At the end of that, you will have the second submissions. In the semester, you have only 3 submissions to submit your work. Okay? But beside the submissions, you have to get yourself ready. So the last learning contract, which is actually the combinations of assignment and project, and I call it learning contract number 3, is from week number 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay? And when you submit the artifacts here, you submit both the assignment artifacts and the project artifact. In the first and the second learning contract, you just submit the assignment artifacts. So, the topics. The brief idea is, I'll give you an introduction this week, and the second week we'll talk something about in the context of calculus, the foundations, the limit and continuity. The third week, the derivative. Okay, if you don't understand, it's okay, just call it the name. The fourth week is applications of the derivative, how you're going to use the concept to solve problems. And the fifth week again is applications. The 6th, 7th, and 8th weeks, more applications. And when you get to week number 9, you have a midterm exam, which based on the thing you learned before, and then we start the selected topic. Okay, the selected topic of your interest, and I believe it's very important to you, which is consistent with what you learned. And then week number 9, 10, 11, actually the 3 weeks here, and including week 12 and 13, will be the time when you're going to doing some study on the selected topic. And then it will also be the time when you have to do the presentations for week 12 and week 13. Since we have 50 students in this class, I assume 5 students in one group, so we have 10 groups. So 10 group in every in class hour, we have 75 minutes. Let's say we could entertain 2 groups per class. So in each week we could entertain 4 groups. So 2 weeks means 8 groups. And we have 2.5 weeks, it will be good enough to give you enough presentation time per group. So that means each group will have at most 30 minutes to present your work. Okay? 30 minutes to present your work is a lot indeed. Normally in the past, we have 5 minutes to do it. Okay? 5 minutes. All of the gifts of kids. The 30 minutes is not. Alright. So, and then we have the we have definitely the summary of the course, and then since we do not have first day class, we will not have to come back on week number 15. So that is the calendar, okay, calendar. These are given to you from day 1, so you are well informed of the calendar. Okay, so the second thing is the reading. Let me show you the reading. So each week I have designed some reading lists for you, so you look into this week's reading. Okay, each reading list is based on a selected reference, and I use this reference, calculus, which is available in the library, and I list out the outline on individual chapters to make sure you understand in the glance the topics there. And then, now do not be scared, you're not supposed to read them all, okay? The most important thing is you know the context, okay? And then the things here is very important. I will provide in each reading list 2 guiding questions, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, but not more than that. So, like this, in the first week reading, I asked you the question, what is a function? What is mathematical modeling? If you want the answer, you're going to explore the links provided. These are from the internet, because today we do not just need the textbook to answer questions. All the knowledge that we need is already there in the internet, except that we're not willing to click on this. We'll not get it, okay? So calculus, a lot of the good things there. Most of these are excellent resources. So each week you have a reading list, something like this, and your job is, remember, all these questions will build up your knowledge base in order to design your selected applications, okay? So here we go. It's a very convenient design for you. So just scroll it down, and so that is the reading list. And after that, I have already provided another submissions reminder. So this is the submissions reminder. As I said, in this class, you need at least 1 learning partner to get involved with your study. Okay? So I expect that by the end of next week, okay, you've got your learning partner identified in this class. I give you time to talk about this. And then you also need to understand, once you have your pair, that is the learning partner pair with you, with your pair, and sometime in week number 4, you need to come up with a team with another pair, okay? So that when you get involved with that, okay, so you will have a good team. But the question is, 2 by 2 is 4, okay? In this class, I expect each team to have, say, 5 students, because we have 50 students here. So sometime we're going to collect orphans. They are not formed in the team yet, orphans. There's no home, okay? So, right? So then the artifacts, week number 5, week number 9, and then week number 13. At the very beginning, you see that week number 7, I asked you to have 2 teams formed in the task force. I will say, let's take a look at this first. Sometimes too many hands spoil the work. You understand what I mean? Sometimes many hands makes the work easy. Let's see how you work in team first before we put the teams together on task force. Okay? And then after that, you have assessment. Okay, now this is a bigger picture that they take a look at it. So as I said, the assessment, the free learning contract, free assignments will give you 20%. The 5% in the first one, 5% in the second one, 10% in the third one. And then the project report and the presentation, which actually has something to do with LC003, you can earn another extra 20% as your project. And then the midterm exam, 20%, so the formative assessment will be 60% before the final exam, which is 40%. Now, the Department of Mathematics requires that, even though it's a general education course, we cannot allow to have a final exam with a percentage less than 20%. Now, this is the first time I ever encountered general education courses, not general education courses. I'm the person who's going to design, but I have to respect the decisions of the Department of Mathematics. Okay, so this is something you need to keep in mind. Very important, okay, for your score this semester. Because you don't just come to study with no goals in mind that I must earn a good grade, because that is important for your graduations. Okay, having done this, let's go to the learning designs. For me, I'm both a qualitative person and a quantitative person. When I invite you to think of the learning design, I would like to start up with the IVL, which is universal, questioning what you are going to study, questioning why you are doing this study, questioning what are the outcomes of the study. If you do not have questions like this in mind, you will not have enough momentum to drive yourself in your study of anything. The second important theme on top of IBL questioning is you must know your constraint. SRL means you cannot have all the resources in the world in order to support your study. You cannot have all the time in the world in order to support your study, which is at 14 weeks. And if you look at the calendar now, 4 weeks for learning contract 1, 4 weeks for learning contract 2, and 4 weeks to up to 5 weeks for learning contract 3. So you must learn how not to spend more time in doing something less important. You must learn to balance out the time commitment to all the topics. If you know that you can always get a B here, but if you want to get an A there, you must spend 2 times the amount of time there, and then it's used for your design. You might get an A in learning contract 1, but what if you're going to C in learning contract 2? What if you're going to C in learning contract 3? That's not worth it. If I got a D in learning contract number 1, but I got a B in learning contract 2, I got an A in learning contract 3, which has higher proportion, I would get a negative. So that is the kind of considerations that you need to learn to put into the efforts, the time you're going to study for a particular result. Self-regulated learning tells you you must learn to identify your goal with the resources you have, particular to the timeline you're given. Okay? And finally, problem-based learning means you need to work things together, not just on your own. You need to learn how to work things together with the partner, with a member of the team. If I have 3 hours and I must finish a job in 1 day, I will have 3 hours. There are 2 persons, each one of them has 3 hours, and if we're going to have to finish the job in 1 day, 2 persons means we have 6 hours together. Do you understand the meaning of that? So you need to learn how to make the best use of human resources in the team. And some of the team members have expertise in one area, some of the team members have expertise in another area. You need to learn how to complement one another's expertise, so that you don't need to redo something which is already done by a team member, and you can contribute differently. And that is what team works. 1 plus 1 is more than 2. Okay? Finally, when you do the project, at the end of that is integrative learning, IL. Integrative learning means you want to apply what you learned in a specific area of knowledge, applications, and then you must learn how to connect things together. Connect the knowledge into the problem. Contribute what you can identify into solving a problem, you know this much. You know you do not know this much. Actually, you don't know. And you know you have a number of people there. Each one of you has a certain amount of knowledge. When you put them together on your table, you need to identify how you can connect each other's work. Particularly speaking, in your class, each one of you might be from a different major. Then you will think differently. So IR is a very important thinking process. So the learning design for this whole course is, if I could succeed to enable you to understand IDL, use the questioning strategy, and if I could convince you that you're not a Superman or Superwoman, you don't have all the resources and time to do it, you must learn how to make ends meet within the constraints, and you can learn the lessons in SIL. And if I could convince you again that you're not the only person who is going to do all the work, you must work together with the team member to solve the problem. Oh, who is going to decide what problem? That is a very good question. If I say I design, now who are you in a team? Who are you to design the problem for me to do? Can I design the problem that you do? Now, this kind of discussion, negotiations, is very important, and you have to vote. Each one of you learn how to identify your interest in the problem, present it to the whole team, and invite the members of the team to accept this is the problem, not just for me, but for the whole team as well. That part of our work is the team's problem, not your own problem. Okay? So this is a very important process of communicating your ideas. So then, learn and practice later. Brand of learning, you will see that I will have all these individual ideas with you. Okay? Starting from this week. So just click the link and you can get it. And online activity, as I mentioned, you have to do a lot on the Moodle environment. And basically, you need to do the journals, you need to do the discussions. So you do the journals. One of the specific things of asking questions in doing the journal, which is a generic method, is the OIA method. So you observe what's happening in the world. So there's something that interests you, that pops up in your mind. So you start to keep track of your observations. You share observations with the team member or with the whole class. And then just observing something does not mean a lot, just like watching a movie. So after watching a movie or news article, you need to have questions specific enough for you to continue. And so we have to come to the I step, interpretations. After observations, you need to come to interpretations. Interpretation means come up with meaningful questions. With a meaningful question, each one of you could go specific directions. And after a while, you collect the informations and the logs together. And then you come to applications. Application means what? What can we learn from? The information's there, the interpretation's there, and the knowledge you obtain. That means it's a wisdom-making process. Okay? So mathematics is not very abstract. So, but we still want you to go through that. OIA. All right? When you do the journal using this method, you will discover that you have a lot of things to keep track of. And this is learning. And after that, you need to pose your discussions using the OIA format in the discussion forum for your fellow students, partner, team members, to justify your finding, to questions your thinking. So that will be very interesting. Of course, you need to support it with references. So make sure you understand this. And time management, as I said, well, 6 hours per week. 6 hours per week is not a lot, but you need to spend 1 hour doing reading. And normally you don't spend 1 hour doing reading alone. You would divide it into 5 minutes, 5 minutes not, or something like this. It very much depends on how you discover who you are in learning this. But my suggestion is 6 hours by doing things like this in the teamwork. So study that very carefully. And then Rubik's, forget about this, participations. Oh yes, this is something very important. Now, we're going to spend time learning a lot in class. But as a teacher, I cannot be a magician. I cannot fool you into thinking that you can learn all these things in class when we have only just 75 minutes in each class. So what does it mean? Oh, 75 minutes each class. If you look at the syllabus at 2 times each with 3 hours at most, 14 grids to 42 hours in class. What can you learn in 42 hours in class? Even though I'm a super teacher. So, let's be realistic. You really cannot learn a lot with that 42 hours. But I've learned something over my years of study and work. There is a principle called less is for more. What is meant by less is for more? If I want you to learn something more, it is not that I'm trying to give you a lot here. Okay? The more I give you, the more you're going to forget very quickly. So less is for more means, if you come back to this website, you discover that I've already put what is important for you to learn in this 14 weeks there. And they are going to be there and studying from today 24/7. And you do not need to learn all this only within the confines of the class hours. You can learn this at any time of your choice during the week, studying from this week number 1 to week number 14. And the only thing you need to know is when you pick any of those resources to learn, are they relevant enough in the context of this course? Are they challenging enough for me to accept these resources as important? And do they engage me so that I can share the same mind with fellow students? So, classroom participations, a lot of the time, I will give you a chance to share your work, okay? To share your work here. And for those of you who are willing to share your work, take a look at this syllabus. In class participations, you will be given bonus points. Okay, I will let you read the rest of this in terms of management. But today, I want to open up this with a very simple ideas of applications of mathematics. Let's see. Here we go. We need to stop teaching calculating. We need to start learning maths. I do not know if you got the message. Let's go for it.
He's a technologist and he's a genius, but he's also a boat rocker. He's somebody who is extremely provocative in trying to persuade us to completely rethink the way we approach life, not least in mathematics. Conrad.
Thanks very much, John. A very kind introduction. It's good to be here. There is little question that maths education around the world has a problem. If you talk to most governments, they think that their maths is failing in that country. If you talk to students, they think it's difficult and many feel disenfranchised. If you talk to teachers, they find it a huge struggle to move the mathematics of their students forward. And yet the people who want mathematics in the outside world, the employers and people in their everyday lives, find they don't have enough mathematics. It's extraordinary that mathematics is a subject that is so dispiriting to so many people in education, and yet in the outside world, it is more important than it ever has been in human history. The world is a far more quantitative place. We rely on mathematics, our economies are driven by it to a far greater extent than ever before. So the question is, why do we have this chasm between the two maths, the maths in education and the maths outside? What's the problem and how can we fix it? Well, I think the answer is staring us right in the face. Computers. Computers are the big dividing factor between education in the real world and education outside. See, in the real world, maths is all about problem solving, modeling, simulation, thinking out what the questions are, analyzing the results, critiquing them. But in education, it looks very different. It's doing calculations, mostly by hand, if you're lucky with a calculator. The problems are small and seem very distant from the real world. So to explain more about what I mean and what we should do, let me start by asking the question, why are we learning maths? In particular, why should everyone in the world learn maths? Well, I think there are 3 reasons you can really come up with. The first is technical jobs. Technical jobs drive economies more than anything else. Virtually every study has shown that the ability at doing maths, and therefore STEM, drives economic progress in the individual's economic capabilities. So it's very important for our economies that people learn maths. The second one is just everyday living. To survive in any economy, and particularly in developed ones, you need to be far more quantitative than ever before. Whether it's dealing with mortgages or deciding whether to believe government statistics, it's pretty important to know whether, to have some way of feeling mathematics, to feel whether you can trust the answer, be able to set up and understand problems. The third thing is what might be described as logical mind training. Mathematics has been the most incredible human endeavor at understanding how to reason. And whether you're using it for mathematics itself or in other walks of life, be it business or just thinking about the world, it's an incredibly powerful logical system. But the current mathematics we have isn't really achieving any of these. Let's turn to another question. What is mathematics? What do we mean when we say we're doing it or we're learning it? Well, I think there are about 4 steps to mathematics. In a sense, it's a process. The first step is posing the right question. You know, if you ask the wrong question about a situation, you're almost always going to get the wrong answer. So you need to ask the right question about your situation, and then you need to turn that from the real world into a maths formulation. Put it into a specific maths setup so that you can do step 3, calculating. Calculating means taking it from your setup to the answer in a mathematical form. And then step 4 is taking that mathematical answer and turning it back into the real world and crucially verifying it. Here's the crazy thing. Around the world, we're taking about 80% of students' time in schools doing step 3 by hand. And yet that's the one step that computers can do better than any human. We should be using computers to do step 3, except in a few edge cases where it is still useful to do mental arithmetic and things. And we should be using students to do far more of steps 1, 2, and 4. We don't want students to be third-rate computers. We want them to be first-rate problem solvers. See, the key point to understand is math is not equal to calculating. It's a much bigger subject. It's the thing that you would like to, avoid if you can. It's a means to an end. It's not the end in itself. So the better we can automate and empower the calculation, the better we can problem solve, the higher level the problems can be. And this is a big problem. So my estimation is every year we spend 21,000 average world lifetimes for students learning how to hand calculate. That is a massive human endeavor. A problem of 21,000 lifetimes each year. And I ask this question, when people say, shouldn't everyone learn this because it's part of our culture? Well, I ask the question and compare it to ancient Greek. In Europe, some people learn ancient Greek as a subject in school, but it's a very specialized subject. I learned a bit of ancient Greek. I quite enjoyed it, but it was a specific specialized subject. I don't think we should be teaching ancient Greek to the world's population for 10 years of their lives. I do think there's a mathematics that we should be teaching them that's the kind that I'm describing. So we've got to distinguish that and realize this is a major human endeavor that we've got to have a very, very good reason for doing. Now I want to make clear to distinguish clearly between 2 ways in which technology is being used or should be used for mathematics. What I'm talking about primarily here is computer-based. It's taking the real-world subject that has changed beyond recognition in the last decades because computers liberated mathematics from their calculating, and taking that and just applying it in education. The subject of mathematics changed in the outside world, because computers did the calculating. It now needs to change in education as well to mimic the real world. That's computer-based. There's also computer-assisted, much of what's been talked about this morning and in the rest of this conference. Applying computers to improve the process of learning. That's also important. But we mustn't confuse the two. In fact, we need computer-assisted to help the process of learning computer-based maths. But computer assistance by itself isn't enough. Deploying the wrong subject very well isn't going to make it the right subject. So how do people object to the position I'm taking on mathematics? What do they say? Well, one of the things they say is you need to get the basics first. I think what they mean by this is you have to work stuff out on paper before you do it on a computer. But you've really got to ask, basics of what exactly? You know, are the basics of driving a car learning how to service it or engineer it for that matter? Are the basics of photography today loading a film into your camera or coating a plate with chemicals? I don't think so. I think those are the machinery of the moment. The basics of mathematics, in my view, are those 4 steps of problem solving. And we should be careful to make sure that we focus on what we're trying to achieve, not the mechanics that allows us to achieve it at that moment. Let me say one other thing about basics, that sometimes the order of invention of the technology affects how people think is the more basic part of it. So an example I often love to give, my daughter when she was about 4 used to make paper laptops. She would fold a piece of paper in half, draw a screen on the top and keys on the bottom. And I said to her one day, you know, when I was your age, I didn't make a paper laptop. Why do you think that was? She thought very carefully for a couple of seconds and then said, no paper? Just because paper was invented before computers, it doesn't mean it gets you more to the basics of the subject. Now, one of the things that's gone wrong in our curricula, which I think is connected to this question, is how they're labelled, how we think about the curriculum. And typical maths curricula have things in them like completing a square, inverting matrices. This is to do with the mechanics of the calculator, solving simultaneous equations, what I call mechanics-centric. What we should be doing is problem-centric mathematics. And I put a few examples up here, but they're very culturally different. And you know, they should be problems that the kids involved, or the adults for that matter, are keen to solve at that point, that they find interesting. Design a currency, what coins and notes do you need? Good one for this city, given the traffic, when should I leave for work or for school? If I leave a little bit early, I'll get there much too early, but if I leave a little bit late, I might get there much too late. It's a complicated thing to model. How many levels of friends am I separated by on Facebook? Even things like, what is a beautiful shape? See, and the great thing with a computer is once you have a computer, you can answer the question like, how much should you compress a photo to fit on your computer? And you can actually see the result of this. As I pull this, you can start understanding the mathematics of compression.
Allow me to stop you here because I think he made the points already. Now I invite you to go home and finish watching this 25 minutes and 56 seconds. What other points he posed in the context of teaching mathematics today? What goes first in your mind based on your experience? And based on that very experience, it's also the reasons why many of you might not like mathematics at all. The topic is stop teaching calculating, start learning math. When we say when you come to a class of learning math, it's very often you are taught the mechanics of doing math instead of the importance of thinking mathematics. Okay? Now this is a little bit of my catch-up, but go home, listen to the whole speech. Actually, in the website, I've given you more than one speech by the same person. This is a very famous guy, okay? This is a very famous guy, okay? Including here that teaching kids math with computers. He often used a very good example. This is a world where kids feel comfortable with computers all the time. still want them to do mental or manual calculations and bother them enough to do that when he is able to release himself of doing simulations with great things. My kid knows how to use Minecraft to do a simulated environment where a lot of mathematics are involved. But he's doing a lot of these by bypassing a lot of mechanics. But in school today, we still want to make sure that without the calculator, he could manage the time, the multiplication table, or whatever it is. So I just want to hold you this to do some thinking. And of course, when we come back on Friday, we will continue with a little bit of the themes on calculus. And actually, preview of this, step into some of this, and you'll understand that. Okay, let me go back now to see if you succeed in doing the message there. You see that? We've got a lot of students who've done this. Now, if you cannot do it right now, make sure you create a message in this social forum when you get home. I want each one of you to get involved, okay? So, to make sure you leave the message here. Meanwhile, I would like to do the attendance for the day, okay? By showing you how to do this. Yes. I will come here, okay? This is the attendance record. I'm going to create one for today. And we start the class at 2:30, okay? And this is a 1 hour, 15 minutes class. We're going to let you go in less than 10 minutes time. And this is date number 1. And this is MATH 113, section 7. Today's attendance, 2015, August 25th, okay? And the time is now, kindly visit the UM site, study the syllabus, and study the whole website where you have 15 works there, and also the information for you to review. Let me take the attendance now. Weki, are you here? Weki, Waikin, not here, okay? And then Johnson, are you here? Thank you. And then Stella, thank you. And then Viviana, thank you. And then it's Jordan, thank you. And then Spa, thank you. And then is Ginseng, are you here? Okay, thank you. And then is Garwin, thank you. And then it's T.I., thank you. All right, then is Kin Fu, thank you. And then is Wang Yu. Are you here? Are you here, Wang Yu? Oh, thank you very much. Hin Ting, thank you. And then is Lawrence, thank you. And then it's Man Ho, thank you. And then is David, thank you. Okay. And then is Tina, are you here? Thank you. Sorry. Then is Fong Ti, thank you. Thank you very much. And then is Miao, thank you. And then is Ming Jun, thank you. And then Hugh Nam, thank you. And then is Mei Ning, thank you. And then is Xin Ting, thank you. And then it's Bella, thank you. And then is Xin Yi, are you here? Thank you. All right. Vivian, thank you. Okay. And then we'll continue with the second page. This is one way to do attendance scoring the old way. So Kay, are you here? Thank you. And then Patrick, thank you. May Ha, thank you. And then Lucia, thank you. And then Joanna, thank you. And then Thank you. Thank you. And then Lock Yi. Thank you. Thank you. Yun Yi. Yun Yi. Thank you. All right. And then Chorus. Thank you. All right. So then Hoi Yu. Hoi Yu. Thank you. And then Man Yi. Man Yi. Man Yi. Man Yi is not here today. Okay. Tiffany. Thank you. And then Ga Yu. Ga Yu. Thank you. Thank you. And then Nixie. Nixie. Thank you. Thank you. Trina. Trina. Thank you. Jiang Shuo. Thank you. Applin. Applin. Okay, thank you. And then Becky. Becky. Are you here? Thank you. Becca. You're Becca or Becky? Becca. So who is Becky? Becky is not here yet. Okay. All right. So Kelvin. Yes. Thank you. And then Nancy. Thank you. All right. And then Cleveland. Cleveland. Thank you. Andy. Are you here, Andy? Not here. Okay. And then Nancy again. This Nancy is different. That Nancy. Okay, the first Nancy is Gaia again. Okay, that's good. And David. David. Okay. Right. Thank you. So let me say it again. Any person whose name has not been called? Okay, let me double check. Could I have the name, please? The student number. Do you see your name here? The first page is all present. Okay, the second one. Now let's go to take a look at this. And you, Mandy? Okay, that's good. Thank you. Anyone? Becky is not here, right? Okay. Now I think I'm going to stop here today. I invite you to make sure you visit the website, study the material each week, okay, particularly on day number 1 and 2, okay, and then get a feeling of what we're going into. I have a lot of resources here because I want to make sure that you do not just rely on me talking to you so that you're going to learn. You can always learn here on your own. That is the patterns of learning in the 21st century. But when we come back here, we're going to do a lot of different kind of practices and discussions. Okay? So that is much more meaningful. All right? I'll see you back here on Friday. I hope you enjoyed today's class. All right?
Sorry for that. I need to switch on the camera.